Hi everybody, it's Amanda, teen librarian at the Monticello-Union Township Public Library, and as promised last week, we're doing a Cooking with Amanda class. The class will post on my normal cooking day, which will be tomorrow, Wednesday, so I'm doing this a day in advance. Today we're making cheeseburger macaroni skillet. This is something that my kids had asked for before we went on break. So cheeseburger mac, we started with a pound of ground beef. All the other ingredients are laid out here on the counter. So you'll need milk, salt and pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, cornstarch, obviously macaroni, and cheese. I chose sharp cheddar because that's what we like in my family, but use whatever's on hand. You could also use ground pork or ground turkey if you don't have ground beef at home. You could also add in onion and chopped peppers, things like that. You can make this recipe your own because it's super simple. So the first thing we have to do is get the ground beef to brown and to break it up, and then we'll start adding in our ingredients. Just so you're aware, this is going to be in 2 videos. So we'll do this part, and then you'll get to see the finished product in our second video as well. Because cooking time obviously has to happen in between. My videographer today is Miss Kara.
No. Yes, this would be a good time to mention I am not a professional videographer, so please excuse whatever this is.
Well, and I'm not a professional cook, but this is what I do every week with our teenagers. Just teaching basic cooking. What I'm using right now too is an induction burner. Some of you might not know what that is. There's 2 big reasons why I use that here. One, obviously in our program room, we don't have an oven. We don't have a full kitchen. And 2, when you're working with teenagers, some of them like to stick their hand on the burner or put their hand on the pan. And if you do that with this, you're not going to get burnt because an induction burner is completely cool to the touch. And if I take the pan off, it will beep and tell me it's no longer cooking. And I can lay my hand right on the burner and it doesn't burn. So I like that feature when cooking with teenagers because you never really know. Some kids have quite a few skills in the kitchen and some do not. So we always want to be cautious.
I mean, so far I've trusted all of them with feeding me, so I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, the outcome of their cooking is always really great. Sometimes the in-between is comical, but we get there. So this, again, is just a super simple recipe. This is actually kind of like your home version of the boxed kind that you would buy. My kids know that I don't use boxed anything when I'm teaching a cooking class. I do some things at home as shortcuts, but most of the time I am an old school, old-fashioned cook, and I don't tend to use things that come from a box. So this was kind of one of the kids' ideas to teach them how to make this cheeseburger mac without using a box. And I'm trying today to use things that most of us have in our homes. Obviously, we're wanting to go to the store less and less now. All the stuff that you see here was already in my kitchen. I did just replace my cornstarch, so it is brand new, but that's something that I use in my house all the time. Also, if you don't have macaroni and you have spaghetti noodles, spaghetti noodles or egg noodles, whatever you have will work. I would say if you're going to use spaghetti, that just break it up into small pieces, which my kids know we've done that on several dishes in the past. But again, this is to use up, and it doesn't matter what kind of milk you use. Use whatever milk is in your house. If you have boxed milk in the cabinet, use that. This is a great recipe to just use things up that you already have at home.
And you know, those YouTube videos are really hot right now. The ones where cooks are, grabbing whatever they have out of their pantry and they're like, throw it in. So
absolutely. And with all of us being home as much as we have been lately, I don't know about you, but I have been cleaning out my freezers. Yep. And my fridge has been cleaned out multiple times. My cabinets have been cleaned out and reorganized. So we at our house are trying to use things up as best we can. That helps us save money, and it helps us save trips and not have to make so many to the store right now. So use what you can and adapt your recipe. Every recipe I make, unless it's something I've made a lot, I do start out with a paper copy of a recipe, but I tend to adapt it. And we will put the link in the description, in the comments underneath this video so that you can find this recipe yourself. This is not one of mine. This actually, I don't know if I can find it real quick of where it came from. I have the information at my desk. But came from an online recipe site that I've used before. This is almost done already.
Almost done.
Yeah, we're super close.
It smells good. We haven't invented smell-o-vision yet.
Yeah,
but,
we wish we had that because it does smell really good.
One day.
Because the steps in this basically are we are browning the ground beef, and then we're going to add in the seasoning and the cornstarch before we get our pasta going. The one thing I did not pull out was my strainer. Let me get that real quick. It is very different not cooking in my kitchen at home. Although I do this every week here.
This is definitely the first time in how many weeks something has been cooked in this room?
Wow.
So, long time. 4 or
I
5
think
weeks.
we're maybe this is week 5 since we've had anything cooked in here.
Yeah.
I love cooking class days for several reasons. One, because I have a large number of kids that come back every week for cooking class. And 2, I love to hear the patrons come in the door and say, "Oh my gosh, that smells so good. What are you cooking?"
Yep.
And so I miss those things. I miss you guys, by the way.
I miss having to pack less in my lunch on cooking days because I'm not shy. I'm not shy.
No.
I want the food that they make. It smells good.
Not to tattle on Miss Kara, but she is usually in the door waiting on food before the food is finished.
That is not a lie. It's not a lie.
We try to, what we do basically with our cooking class is we make sure that the kids that have helped cook get to eat, but we also try to feed our staff. If we have plenty of food, then we will take bowls or plates of whatever we've made that day to the other staff that's in the building. And they always love cooking days as well. All right, this is about done. So we can drain it and then start our other process. I'm gonna move stuff around here a minute so I can get to everything I'm gonna need. Okay, I'm going to turn this down, and while I am draining the grease from the hamburger, this induction burner is going to beep for a second, but it's not going to hurt anything. That's just letting us know that there's nothing on the burner cooking right now.
Alright, and as this video is at about 7 minutes, we are going to split this up for you so it's easier to watch. So here pretty soon we will definitely come back for part 2 of this delicious food.
So I have turned it down, again, and most of you know if you're browning meat, brown it on medium to high, but I have turned this down a little bit just so I can get everything in. So this says I'm supposed to sprinkle it with the cornstarch, and that's a tablespoon of cornstarch. So we're going to do that first. And we're just going to sprinkle that in for now. And let's see, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder and 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. Oh, and I have a brand new one, of course. Okay. Onion powder is something I use a lot of in my house. So we've just replaced a couple of our seasonings because if you're anything like me, you've been doing a lot of cooking, and I've been going through quite a few things. Like I said, I've been cleaning out at home as well. We will link this below, but it's 1 tablespoon of the cornstarch and 1.5 teaspoons of the onion powder and of the garlic powder as well. I'm going to take the time to just stir this quick, and then we'll add in our salt and pepper as well before we go any further. For those of you that don't know, some of my teenagers may not know, we haven't used it very much, but cornstarch is a thickening agent. So cornstarch is used to thicken all kinds of things, soups, stews, and in this case, cheeseburger mac. And it's the same on the salt. That's what's nice about this recipe. It's nice and simple, and the measurements are very much the same, so you don't need a lot of stuff out at the same time. So that helps as well. Okay, and it's just 1/2 teaspoon of pepper because we don't want to put too much pepper in there. Okay, so we're gonna stir this up. This part, and it smells so good in here right now, guys. I wish you could smell it. It's amazing. Okay. All right, so now what I need is 2 cups of hot water. So we're going to turn that on for just a second. We're just about to the point where we're going to take a break here, guys. So here's our 2 cups of hot water. And we're going to put 1.5 cups of milk in. Again, use whatever you got at home. Any milk will do. If you use whole milk, it'll be a little thicker, obviously, but use what you have. One of the points of today's recipe was for you to have a recipe that you could use up things at home that are already in your cabinet. Make a little bit of a mess there. Okay. And then it calls for 2 cups of pasta. So we're going to go ahead and put the pasta in. So there's one. And one more here real quick. And the instructions are to bring this to a boil and let it cook and simmer. So we're going to pause right here and we will come back to you when our macaroni is cooked and ready to go. So we'll see you in a few minutes.